they feel like if they don't do everything like back to back, max effort, they feel like they haven't had a successful session. And first of all, it's a mindset that you kind of have to like get them to understand. To me, the way I look at speed is first coordination. You got to get them coordinated enough.
Fabian, welcome to the Athletic Performance Podcast.
Appreciate you for having me on, man.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to this conversation, but I always ask people, what's the origin story? Why don't you go back in time a little bit and just kind of bring us up to speed on you?
Sure. So I've been doing this actual personal training for about 15 years now. I started at a big box, which a lot of people do. It was Bally Total Fitness.
Oh,
Um,
man.
yeah, dude. So then, like after that, they closed down here. They went out of business,
Yeah.
and so I kind of had to figure it out. And I'm a big believer in God, and I just kind of did my part. And next thing you know, I opened up a studio with my brother, which, by the way, I couldn't do any of this without him, or the people that have been in my life. I'm just kind of here doing my part. But yeah, so we got into more of the soccer side of things, just because we grew up, we call it on the other side of the tracks, um, with less resources
Hmm.
for training, and you always have that question in the back of your mind, what could have been if you actually had more intention in about the way you approached sports and any kind of physical practice. And so that's honestly what we do. We deal with a lot of like the kind of kids we grew up uh, with. So it's kind of nice to get into that. But we also, that's one part of it. As far as the
Hmm.
brick and mortar, we deal with a lot of general population, which has also been like such an eye opener for us
Hmm.
because I mean you kind of take the similar approach. It doesn't have to be an athlete, but at the end of the day, you're a coach. You know,
Hmm. Yeah.
um, one of my close friends told me like, dude, anytime you're in a position of coaching or leading, it's like you're basically think about it like these people are basically a ball, and then you kick the ball, or you continue to kick the ball, and then you kick the ball again, and then after a while, they somehow they get up, and then they start running, and then the next thing you do is you just cheer them on. So I feel like with coaching, it's really that what we do is we have to encourage, man. Um, and yes, the physical components, all the attributes that these people get, uh, are obviously super important, but they can't happen if you're not meeting them emotionally for sure. And obviously with kids too, that's also a big eye opener. But anyway, so fast forward, we're here. We've been here for about 15 years,
Wow.
Fit Factor. So that within itself has been, dude, you know, like, gosh, where can I start? It's just been really, really, really. It's been a journey. A journey figuring out who you are,
Hmm.
who you want to be presented as, and then not only that, but you have to have people to teach that to. So whereas organization hasn't been my skill, I've had to really like crack down lately on eventually if you want the business to grow. But
Yeah.
yeah, primarily we have two sides. Obviously, we deal with a lot of soccer players, but
Hmm.
we also deal with a lot of general population, which honestly have similar needs at the end of the day.
Yeah, for sure. So, do you have a background in soccer? Like, did you play at a pretty high
Yeah, yeah.
level or?
Well, so I only played high school. My brother
Okay.
still competes nowadays, and he's 37, so he still plays in pretty competitive leagues. I can't, or I don't make time for it because I have kids,
Yeah.
and I like to spend time with my family, and that's where I kind of spend most of my time. But yeah, I mean, honestly, just high school ball. And yeah, it's pretty much it on that side.
Yeah, I can tell you've been in the game a while because I don't think a lot of the younger trainers, at least the ones under 30, have any clue what Bally Total Fitness is. I mean,
Yeah,
that
no,
is
that's the OG,
historic.
man.
That
Well,
is
and the
just
thing about it, like I got thrown out there because at the time that Bally's was honestly, it was the top grossing gym in the nation for
oh
personal
wow.
training. So I was very fortunate to know, it, like, to get thrown in that situation, you kind of have to survive, man. You really, I mean, what's wild about it is I tell the guys here, I'm like, guys, you don't understand. You don't get paid to prospect. You have to walk the floors. You know, like I remember my first paycheck was like less than $1, and I'm like, shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's really eye opening. But yeah, so Bally's, I was very fortunate to be able to get thrown in that environment.
Yeah, so that's exciting, man. So I want to start to dive into at least on the athlete side because I see a lot of what you post, man. Your social media is so clean. I love the comparisons. I think the contrast that you draw and the attention to detail that you have is very, very elite. So we'll try to keep this to soccer, but feel free to expand this in any way you feel that is relevant. But when it comes to how soccer athletes are approaching game speed, what do you
Mhm.
feel like are the biggest mistakes that you're seeing in their training?
So this kind of goes with, I feel like, any competitive sport nowadays. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, you're dealing with these kids having like 4 games a weekend.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Yeah,
so
minimum.
when they, yeah, minimum, right? So when they come in, first of all, they're so wired up. They feel like if they don't do everything like back to back, max effort, they feel like they haven't had a successful session.
Mm-hmm.
And first of all, it's a mindset that you kind of have to like get them to understand. To me, the way I look at speed is first coordination. You got to get them coordinated enough, right? I like to help these kids feel comfortable with one position, and I use a 2 point start mainly, just
Mm-hmm.
because I can kind of continue to build off of that. Obviously, you got this game of soccer is it's very reactive. You have different positions, which that's a little bit on the other side of like change of direction.
Mm-hmm.
At the end of the day, the attributes that I have seen with the younger kids get better is just getting them to understand that for the time being, we're just working on this 2 point stand. That's all we're gonna do. And what things we're gonna work on is coordinating the back foot to do its job, allowing your body to be able to put into that position to accelerate,
Mm-hmm.
and that has to be with repetition. You know, but the biggest thing with most kids is the attention span's also not there. So it's kind of you kind of have to. I'm into this big. I know everybody wants to play, and I hear that, but at the end of the day, you have to have some responsibility on them. It's like, we can play all these games, all this and that. At the end of the day, I need you to learn this if you want to excel at your sport, this is what we need to do. So you have a lot. Obviously, you also have the parents. Hey, I need my kid to be doing X, Y, Z. So you
Mm-hmm.
also have to cope with that. Like, no, honestly, we're going to work on this for at least 3 months, just because we have to see some change, at least,
Mm-hmm.
right? Um, so yeah, it's honestly, it's such an intense environment because it's so competitive as well. But identifying a successful training session has to be communicated by the coach. And
Mm-hmm.
if your coach is kind of all over the place and we're not following, hey, we're trying to get better at this one thing, then yeah, I mean, you're gonna have the athlete come in here and just be all over the place.
Yeah, I love that. One of the things that really stands out to me is you talk about these kids. that are coming in wired up. And I've had this conversation a few times with several athletes of, team sport athletes in particular, and soccer being one, football guys especially. They're really, really good at going 90% over and over and over, but they're really poor at going 95 to 100% and getting them to slow down enough to find that gear has been an exceptional challenge. Have you noticed the same, or do you have any
Brother,
strategies?
no, 100%. But that's where, like, honestly, it's, you kind of have to be stern. Like, dude,
Hmm.
this is what we have to do, right? I get it that you want to go again, but it's not the time to go again. Obviously, after that, you build conditioning, which is another part of it. Being
Yeah.
able to accelerate over and over again, that's also a huge part. But we can't do that unless you actually understand what it feels like at the beginning. So they're kind of like jumping, they're jumping steps. So you kind of, yeah, it doesn't make sense. You literally cannot build that type of capacity unless you understand or coordinate the actual what your arms are doing, what your feet are doing. Like
Hmm.
it's a lot. It's so complex. We look at acceleration as being like, oh, it's like a 2D thing. It's like, dude, there's so much that happens.
Hmm.
But as far as strategies, I kind of take it on athlete to athlete, man,
Yeah, for
because
sure.
for some of them they don't get it, like they don't, and you
Hmm.
literally have to work within sessions, and and it's almost like you have to first get them to slow down to understand, and then you can start building, which is hard though, because then you have, if you have an off season block of 12 weeks, you literally have to down regulate them first for them to actually start working, which is it's very tough.
Yeah, I always feel like I'm riding two horses with one ass with these athletes because,
Mhm.
on one hand, I want pure sprint training. I want them to reach peak velocity. I want them pushing the threshold. We've already discussed how they have challenges with that. But on the other hand, they have the specific demands of the sport itself. And
Mhm.
more and more, there isn't an off season. So they
Yeah.
always need to be ready to go. So my
Mhm.
question, kind of a follow up for you, is how do you balance this? Like, I need to develop pure speed, but I can't necessarily sacrifice, um, being
Yeah.
physically prepared for 4 games a
Yeah.
weekend.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'll use Fernando. Fernando is one of my youth Dynamo players. Fernando, like I said, plays maybe a tournament a weekend. Um, and so we have this protocol when at the moment on Mondays he comes in. I still want to get acceleration work, but honestly, it the practices he has at night are so rigorous. First of all, I have to be conscious. I have to be conscious of that not affecting the rest of the training week.
Yeah.
Um, for acceleration work, dude, for him, he gets much more out of us literally doing some bounds and then like sled push. Not too taxing. He's
Hmm.
still getting the shapes we want him to get. He's still developing the strength in those areas that we want him to strengthen. And then that's it. That's the session. The practices, they're so crazy, dude. Like the demand for that conditioning, they do it. It's probably not, I don't know, it's not the best way to do it, but they handle it. So I have to come on the back end and kind of patch things up. Like
Yeah.
make sure, for example, like 2 weeks ago, he came in here, he could barely lift his hip. I mean, he could barely lift his leg. And I was like, okay, well, obviously we had a sprint session today, but we're not going to be doing any kind of sprint related stuff. Let's try to get you to feel better. And it wasn't super complex. We got him to lengthen his hip flexors, work through that range of motion, get him to feel some adductors, and then we worked on calves, and then boom, he felt a whole lot better. But yeah, the conditioning part is a little bit complex because, like you said, there is no off season.
Mm-hmm.
Um, honestly, it comes to a point where like you're patching things up, and if they make it sometimes, it's terrible for me to say this, but if they're resilient enough to make it through such a tough schedule, then they're gonna make it. They're gonna do okay. But the conditioning part, I can't. It, they already do waste. They already do so much.
Yeah, it's wild. So inside of all this, one of the things that I'm kind of hearing you say is that your job, and you seem to be exceptional at this, is you're able to identify like what the high leverage point is for an athlete, right? So Fernando comes in, bro's wrecked, can't lift his leg. You're like, okay, this is, ideally what we want to do. And I think any trainer worth their salt understands that, the programs we write are anticipating how an athlete is
Mm-hmm.
going to respond and recover to the stress, but then coaches pile on conditioning and everything. We have to kind of throw out the window. But it comes
And
back
you
to
can't
this
control
idea.
that.
Yeah, yeah. And it comes back to this idea of, okay, we have to narrow it down and really identify what the big levers are
Right.
when it comes to your performance and your development right now. And so I liked how you talked about, doing some bounds, doing some sled pushes because it's not overly taxing. It allows us to hit the shapes and the ground contact times we want. But what are some of the other big levers as a coach that you like to pull for your athletes so they can actually get faster throughout the course of a year?
Strength, dude. Strength is like, you know, I hear this a lot. Oh, honestly, these kids needs to be stronger, period.
Mm,
In like generally speaking, if you can't hinge and pull the barbell towards your stomach to do a row, that's a problem because literally in acceleration, you have to stay in some sort of shape like that. So what that's telling me, just doing regular like barbell, I love barbell rows with a lot of my kids. Um, I love, I think, um, step back lunges are phenomenal.
mm-hmm.
So, so strength training, yes, unless you're like super elite, but these kids are young, man. They need to be stronger,
Yeah.
right? You can't sit here and tell me like, oh, well, this kid's gonna be affected because he's too strong. It's like, he could be a little bit stronger, you know? Um, so in season, yeah, I mean, we either do a hypertrophy based kind of block, or
Mm-hmm.
we do more of just a general strength kind of block as well. Because you're teaching coordination too. There's so, man, it's always wild to me to see we have such talented kids on the ball, but yet you ask them to do a bound, and my 6-year-old does a better job. Like my 6-year-old boy twin
Yeah.
does a better job than you. That's a problem because you're I love doing handstands. That's another one of my things.
Yep.
You're giving the more coordinated you are, the more athletic you will be. I mean, you have more options. It's actually it's given, right? So even that low hanging fruit, I I I harp on bounds because it's always so mind boggling to me how these kids are super talented on the ball. But yeah, you ask them to do a bound and they look like Bambi, you know? Um, it's wild, dude. But yeah, so big on strength training during season two, dude. There's no reason why you should take that out. Obviously, the intensity you have to manage it just like you would with any kind of speed work, with
Yep.
given their practices. But you got to continue to do that general strength work.
Yeah, I don't think enough people talk about the coordination aspects of strength training, right? We're talking about inter
Yeah,
and intramuscular coordination,
it is.
synchronization, and timing of how everything, creates the symphony of movement. And you mentioned the coordination piece. So, outside of the strength training, how are you developing just athletes who can do a lot of these drills? Because sometimes, like in our dynamic warm up, for example, we'll throw different cadences and tempos and drills at them. Right? We're
Mhm.
going to do an A skip. We're going to do some kind of switch. Then we're going to add like a double contact to it. Then we're going to go dribble and unilateral. And sometimes just watching their brains try to process just these different
Mhm.
movements, you just see it's almost like a block. But once they figure it out, they're just so the grace of being able to switch in and out of these different tempos and rhythms becomes much more efficient. So I'm curious what other stuff you put in there. I mean, is everybody doing handstands? That'd be amazing.
Nah,
Um,
dude, that's the thing with that is, um, I would love that,
yeah,
but
right.
in a perfect world, you're taking time out of their time to work on their given skill, right? So
Hmm.
it's not fair for me to say because doing a handstand, depending on your fear is also another thing. Being upside down, that matters.
Yeah.
You have to overcome a lot of things. But honestly, we do a lot of crawling patterns, and I know there's a big there's a big thing, big movement out there, animal flow or moving like a specific animal for the sake of moving like an animal. We really don't do that, but we do work on like lateral crawling, forward crawling, backwards crawling. The backwards crawling is also another thing that's like, wait, how do you do that? Um,
Yeah.
it's but like you said, once they coordinate it, oh, this is how you do this. So, um, honestly, it just depends, man. Like, I sometimes I get too married with a specific uh thing, you know. I like
Yeah.
that I start to take other stuff out that may be beneficial. Like right now, I'm honestly running a lot of just a lot of bounds and just bounds, and literally that's the warm up. Bounds, and we just hop straight into accelerator. We might throw some pogos in there, some pogos, but then
Yep.
we just jump straight into it. At least for my sessions, and I find that it works well for me, but for my athletes, they need other other feelings because it's also a feeling that they have to understand. Skips are great too.
Yes.
Skips are phenomenal. I mean, skips are. I know there was a recent. I think finger mash was like with. Yeah, like dude, skips are phenomenal. We
Yeah.
don't do that enough. Um, but yeah, so I kind of got off track there. As far as like other movements, yeah, we do a lot of crawling patterns. I know there was Christian McCaffrey. I saw Christian McCaffrey's trainer. I know, obviously, everybody does things different, but he had him do a bunch of stuff on the trampoline too, with like handstand related stuff. Well, it might work. I mean, who knows? I think that yeah, it's just you're kind of torn between two places where how much time you actually have to explore and how much time do you think is 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 actually allotted to work on the things that they need for their sport. It's a tough
Yeah.
one.
Yeah. Because it's like we've always had to have this requisite level of context. Like, is this going to really transfer? And then the other
Hmm.
side of it is like, what are they also missing? Because I think we can
Hmm.
infinitely add a number of
For
things
sure.
to the program that at the end of the day, it's like, what's really moving the needle? What is needed for long-term development? What's the impediment here? Because like initially, like getting down and crawling, like you might not see like the ROI today, but like eventually these athletes are building some efficiency, some coordination.
Hmm.
I guess a question follow up that kind of came to mind is, you guys have been in business for 15 years. You've been through COVID. Like, it's phenomenal. Anybody that can do that. So massive credit to you guys, but it's obvious you have a level of success with your athletes when
Mhm.
they're starting out with you in person.
Mhm.
It almost seems like you have to have this mindset shift of how we're going to think about and approach training. So what does that conversation look like, or what do you find yourself repeating to athletes just ad nauseum when they're new to get them in the mental space that you need to do the things that are necessary for their long-term development?
Slow down. Like that's the big dude, honestly, slow down. And I use because it's not only for athletes like Gen Pop, a lot of Gen Pop needs to slow down like for a lot of these exercises. But
Mm-hmm.
with my athletes, slow down. Like if you don't get it, I'm gonna keep harping at you, slow down. This is not the place to go 150%. Like I need you to
Yeah.
slow down. And that's it. I mean, honestly, it comes to a point where look, and that's why I love videos so much because
Yes.
okay, you're not hearing me, right? But let me show you because obviously what you're doing at the moment, like going at this speed, is not working. We're not getting we're not getting the results we really want here. So here's the video. I need you to slow down. And then I mean, kids nowadays are so like tech savvy. They're like, oh yeah, look at that. So yeah, like if verbally you don't understand, I'm recording you and then I'm showing you. And then I'm going to show you where I want you to be. And then even that slows them down. Having that kind of footage or interaction
Mm-hmm.
is going to slow them way down to me telling him, hey, dude, I told you to slow down. Like I'm literally pointing to you. Here, this is where you are. This is where I need you. I need you to slow down. They're like, oh, all right, coach. That makes sense. So I guess using technology is a huge one. And I was always opposed to it, you know, because I was like, you got to feel it.
Yeah.
But technology is huge, man. Especially with these comparisons you tell me online. I remember the first video that I put that went like crazy. It was literally a side by side pushing off 1 foot and then pushing off 2 feet. You can't believe the type how controversial that was. And to me, I was like, look, I like to give options, man. I'm not gonna here tell you what to do. Like at the end of the day, you're your own person. I'm not gonna sit, dude. First of all, because I don't have time to sit here and waste to try to get you to like convince you that look, this might work. But yeah, that footage there was literally a side by side, and it was wild. It was crazy. And then that led me to like understanding, oh, these everybody likes that. Okay, let me record you. Let me bring it out. This is what you're looking like. This is what I want you to look. There's no rebuttal there. Rebuttal out the window.
Yeah, I love that. I think in general, and I'm probably guilty of this too, but so much social media, attention spans decreasing. I think the concept of interoception for these athletes or feeling their body
Hmm.
in space is is muffled to a large degree, right? We're just they're not able to sense what's going on in their body, and asking them to describe it, it's like trying to read the numbers on the houses when you're like driving 45 down the street. You know, you just don't have
Right.
time to really pick up those cues. And the way that you talk about this reminds me of a quote that I heard earlier this year, but it's kind of been a it's just been resonant, and kind of I'm finding it come up in so many different aspects of life. But it's this idea that awareness gives you options,
Hmm.
and being able to slow down to tune into this sense of awareness is really powerful, especially when we're talking about movement. And to your point, one of the things that we historically have done in our first programs for conditioning is tempo lifting. And it's not just do it for a minute. It's we have a metronome at 60 beats per minute, and you go 3 up and 3 down.
I love
And
that.
I tell them, I'm like, if you go faster, it's on you. You're just doing more reps because this set's a minute long. But
I
it's
love
10
that.
reps exactly. It's 3 seconds up, 3 seconds down, and you don't relax. And I
Yeah.
find that they get really, they probably hear the cowbell because that's the noise we use in their
Yeah,
sleep. And it's constantly going to the point where I'll forget about it and it'll be going for like an hour and a half in the
yeah.
gym. I'm like, oh, sorry, y'all. But
That's a
it's extremely helpful.
100%, dude. With the metronome, I noticed too, it's like I like playing guitar.
Mm,
So I noticed that that type of you you know sound matters too. Like the way
hmm.
your contacts, like
Yeah.
do you I use that with my athletes. Like, do you hear that? Ba 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 ba, as opposed to ba 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 ba. I need the ba 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 ba. But it's like you're pulling from all these to eventually get them to slow down.
Hmm.
It's you're masking uh, the lack of attention. You're entertaining. This is this is what I need you to do for me in order for
Yep.
us to succeed, which is great because it also teaches you. You know when someone's running fast. You know when someone's hitting the ground hard.
Hmm.
This is what I need you to sound like. You you hear how squishy that sounds? I don't like that. It needs to be more aggressive. But yeah, I love the metronome idea. That's there's another reel that I had that I literally put comparison side by side, and I had the metronome under, and then me doing bounds on top, and it was
Hmm.
a ba 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 ba. Oh my gosh! It's like, nah, dude. Honestly, it's just exactly what you said. I'm trying to give you a different way to see it, to get you to slow down to see it how I see it.
Right. So, obviously you've got a huge online following. So I'm sure you work with athletes online, but you still clock in at the gym and work with athletes hands on. And I'd say, there are guys who seem to be either one side or the other, right? Either they're online coaches, and some of the
Yeah,
stuff they say are like, "Do you actually work with people?" Like, I don't
yeah,
think, like, I don't think you do. And then,
nah.
there's guys who some of the best coaches you've never heard of are inside of their facilities every day, just putting in the reps, doing the work. For you, and we've talked, a lot of the things we've talked about have been solutions for working with athletes in person. Why do you, I mean, especially with the growth that you've had, why do you still find it's important to work with these athletes in person?
Dude, situational awareness. I don't think online. I'm big on like feeling the energy of the athlete. Like when you walk in, I can tell if you're, bro, what's up with you? Which,
Hmm.
what happened? You know what I mean? That
Yep.
type of stuff you don't get online, dude. You
Yeah.
do the Friday check-ins. Oh, but you did your exercise. All right, peace. But like, I, I don't get to see you walk in here, the way you shake my hand, if you look at me in the eye,
Hmm.
like what's really bothering you, because that's gonna affect it, dude, whether we like it or not. I'm not big on like I got this two side, right? Like, yeah, I mean at the end of the day, sometimes you have to suck it up. But if I can't literally get you to suck it up, that we need to figure this out before we jump into a training session. I feel like for the few that are still out there, because there's so much online stuff,
Hmm.
I think that those really good face-to-face coaches will never they just have that situational awareness, man. I don't know if I'm not really that much into the online.
Yeah.
I don't know if you can replicate that, you know, or that or that feel, bro. Like, because at the end of the day, I want the athlete to win. If we get something, bro, in the spot, let's go. Like, you get pumped up, you know.
Hmm.
That type of stuff you don't get online, dude.
Right.
You just don't get it. It's more about, again, I'm checking in. You did your exercises. Okay, nice. But there's something else. Like, there's something else happening, you know?
Yeah, I've
But it
always.
is, but it's tough though. I mean, I didn't mean to cut you off. It's tough because as much as I have the the big following, I'm still very disconnected to my social media because at the end of the day, I work with people one on one, and doesn't matter what, like, that's still gonna be the thing for me. I like that interaction because when you win, everybody wins.
Yep.
And I like to see that. I like to see when it happens.
Yeah, the online client can be challenging because I think there's a lot of energy at the beginning,
Yeah.
and people are excited about the prospects and I'm sure the possibility of working with
Yeah.
you. And then in the end, it's like you still got to put in the work. You still got to do
Mm-hmm.
these things, but I'm not here to guide you. And I find so many people are quick to kind of hide under the desk. That's what I like to say. When I come calling and emailing, you're pretending you're not at home, and
Yeah.
ignoring me. And I don't really like that. So, but have you had athletes kind of show up after, in the online space, after seeing your content, seeing what you do, and approach this different than anyone else you've worked with online? Are they prepared and ready to kind of receive what you have to offer them?
Let's go.
Yeah.
Like, how about, yeah, yeah, dude, 100%. But see, that's the stuff you have to, because you got to get them to buy in. Obviously, they signed up for your program, but at the end of the day, there's still some still are gonna think that they know more than what you're
Yeah,
providing.
for
So
sure.
it's, dude, it's what's cool about it to me is that once you have someone in here, it's that resale continues to happen. I'm getting your trust after every single session. And that's kind of hard to do online. Yeah,
Hmm.
you don't get that. It's we take it for granted. Oh, this person's subscribed, and then you know whatever. No, well, why did they fall off?
Yeah.
No, there's never that connection. But I don't know if I answered your question. I kind of went off on the tangent there.
No, that's okay, man. I'm just kind of peppering you with a lot of stuff that's coming to my head. But you did highlight a problem that I'm seeing more so nowadays. So you're in Houston, right? So I'm sure
Hmm.
there's a million gyms that are just a stone's throw from you.
Hmm.
We've got more and more facilities popping up. And I don't know if it's the kids, I don't know if it's the parents, I don't know if it's just the fact that they're working with different clubs and they're going to all these different
Hmm.
places compared to where their high school teams are going. But we're seeing more and more of what I call the tourist. So it's like they're always kind of going to a new place. And I
Hmm.
feel like they're perpetually starting a program. They're never sticking with anything long enough to make progress. And I feel like this is a huge problem in the online space when you talk about people falling off. They're just never really getting roots and just digging in and doing the damn work.
Yep. Brother, it takes like I'll use myself as an example because I like to tell my athletes, I'm like, dude, if a 30-year-old did it, like, there's no reason why your bounce shouldn't get any better. And it took me 2 years for my bounce to look somewhat decent, but it literally takes that long. Where it's not. I mean, at the smallest amount of time, it takes 6 months for you to
Mm-hmm.
see some gradual changes. You know, so yeah, it's a big problem because the thing about it here, at least in Houston, is oh, this person's seeing this person. I need to go get my son to do that. And then that
Mm-hmm.
person starts seeing someone else. It's like, oh no, but now this person's seeing this person. And it's like that's not how it works. Like you gotta give you gotta give stuff some time for actually work. So there's a lot of competition that's driving that. There's a lot of FOMO that's
Mm-hmm.
driving that, especially on the parent side, where
Yep.
my kid's not doing enough. And at times, you literally get them to do just a little bit less, and whoa, look at that. Your kid's actually doing a whole lot better. but yeah, so it's such a it's such a money it's such a it's a big industry. And there's just and accessibility is bigger too. Like
Mm-hmm.
you can literally afford if you're let's just say if you're playing competitive sports and you're playing club teams, the chances are you're doing your parents are doing pretty good and they're willing to throw money at whatever else they see pop up, but they don't understand that, which is kind of interesting to me because a lot of these people are very successful, obviously, uh, financially, and you would
Mm-hmm.
think like, oh, you just didn't get like that in 2 months. Like you literally probably did something for years
Mm-hmm.
and you eventually got better.
Yeah, we had an athlete this year, and she trained with us for a very short time. Loved volley. She was a volleyball player, and I think her dad had this idea of they were going to train for like 8 weeks, and she was going to be this different athlete.
Yeah.
And at the end of 8 weeks, like, yes, she made progress. She was jumping higher. She got faster.
Mhm.
She got stronger. Was it an insane amount of progress? Not really, because I mean, she was a very underpowered athlete. She was not very fast. Her feet were a whole separate issue. She always had these very, basketball shoes on, and anytime she was out of
Mhm.
them, it was, I mean, bordering on a liability.
Yeah,
Watching her
man.
move around barefoot. And I think they ended up stopping training because you know, the thought was, well, she just needs to do more volleyball to be,
Mhm.
to move up the teams. And I don't know. There was kind of this point in time where I'm like, I mean, you understand, like the girls at the twos and the ones teams, they're jumping higher,
Mhm.
they're hitting
Mhm.
harder, they're moving
Mhm.
faster. Like you might have the skill set to, you know, do that pass, but do you have the ability to get to the space where you can actually execute said skills? And
Right.
I mean, I see this a lot where people, to your point, maybe aren't, the parents are ready for it, but maybe the kids aren't willing. They learn really quickly, like, I don't know if I'm really willing to do what it takes to get to this level. And
Yeah.
that's totally, totally fine with me.
But that's where you have to kind of start making those decisions. It's like, dude, it's like owning a business, you know as well. There's going to be sacrifices,
Mm-hmm.
right? Are you really ready to sacrifice XYZ for the
Yeah.
other stuff? It's like you're not ready for it. You kind of start to kind of, okay, you go this way, you go this way. For the kids that really do want to sacrifice it, that's honestly where you start pouring into them.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're spot on, dude. And then you're also dealing with that, it's like kids, what is it, like the first month, they're probably gonna make like that one athlete you're talking about was so underdeveloped that the changes are gonna be so dramatic at the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
But it doesn't mean it's gonna stay like that. That's the problem though. It's like you gotta keep you gotta keep going. That's not where it ends. I mean,
Yeah.
obviously we got you to like to like a somewhat um better point, but just imagine what you can always the guys always laugh at in here because anytime like I want to learn a skill, I'm like, just give me 2 years. Give me 2 years. Well, come back in 2 years.
Yeah.
See where we are. But it's like 2 years. It was like, yeah, 2 years. Just give me 2 years, not 6 months. I'm gonna dive in for 2 years. So but there's not enough. Yeah, people don't want to suck. People don't want to suck at something. People don't want to
No,
suck for a long time.
I got two follow-ups and then we'll move on because I got some more questions for you. But I don't know if you were ever, in the powerlifting world, but Dave Tate was a huge powerlifter, runs a company, Elite Fitness, but he just had a way with words. But he describes, the levels that you can ascend. It's basically shit, suck, good, great. And the whole idea, the whole idea was, the things that take you the skills and whatever you need to go from shit to suck are not the same things that are going to take you from suck to good or good to great. So just kind of ascending this ladder was, for a lot of these athletes, you're just missing a lot of foundational stuff to be
A
able
lot.
to do anything with it. And then the other thing that I'll add is, when you talk about asking parents and athletes to do less, we're constantly battling against a culture, at least in our area, where the parents want the place that is going to, outgrind the other place. Who is
100%.
working these kids the hardest, who's making them puke. And I don't know, we just kind of look at it and are like,
Yeah.
well, we don't do that,
Yeah. Yeah. No, you asked about like COVID and
Mm-hmm.
how we were able to like make it through. Part of it is because we're in a bubble and the accessibility here is there's just options.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, you're right. I mean, another thing to add to that is for, we go back to the acceleration part. I mean, torso length matters. These kids don't understand, like, look, for you, it might be easier to come off the line just because this is longer in relation to the bottom half of you.
Mm-hmm.
For me, I have a shorter torso, longer legs. I need to find a different strategy. That's why it literally has to be that same thing over and over again because you're different, he's different. It doesn't mean you can't do it. It's just gonna mean that yours is gonna look different than his.
Yep.
Right? I can't expect my acceleration to look look similar to someone that has like relatively same size of the torso and same size legs. That's not how my body's shaped,
Right.
right? I have to understand that. I also have to understand that, look, dude, if honestly you can't push off the back foot because you like strength and hip extension, that's something to work on too, right? Are you coordinating the enough push on the back foot to get you to the front foot? That's
Mm-hmm.
also another strength component. But it, it takes more than six months. It takes more. You have to follow literally for a year, and then even after that, 2 years. But then you get exceptions, right? Because you get these parents that actually understand them. They're like, okay, let's go. But the
Yeah.
majority is kind of hard.
Yeah, few and far between, right? But I always try to liken it to sport, right? Like, hey, do you stop working on your shot in basketball? Like, no, never. Like, Tiger Woods still works on a swing. Like, these are skills that will constantly refine. And as you develop as an athlete, the way that you execute them is going to be slightly different. And there might be changes. And those changes take a long time to really take root, At least that's kind
Yeah.
of how I think of it. And I think a lot of athletes resonate with that, even though they still just want like results yesterday. So
Yeah, I wish I would have known that earlier though, because I was also one of those kids. Is like, I don't think the way you're kind of raised. It makes you. It's not that you can't do it. It's that you haven't given it enough time. Right? Like you actually haven't followed through enough to be able to say, oh wow, this didn't work. Maybe I could have done something different.
right.
But it's, dude, it's a tough one. I mean, I got back on the concrete the other day, and so basically with my training, I've been doing a lot of grass stuff because obviously given soccer, and I've just dabbled on like power cleans, and
Mm-hmm.
I've never like before in the past I tried it but didn't give it enough attention. And dude, yesterday on my sprints, I felt completely different than I did a year ago when I was on concrete. And yes, there was an accumulation of all this training, but I can tell you right off the bat, in the past 2 months of doing just that, there's a substantial change that's happening.
Mm.
Now I see it in myself, right? Because obviously I can't. The way my body is, I started to understand it a little bit better. Is as far as pressure goes, I have a tough time with external pressure. Um, so even those bracing qualities, I see it a lot in young kids. But I realized part of the whole raising up situation is, yeah, dude, you literally were not used to, again, all this coming to you this way, and you didn't have enough strength. You had no glutes. You couldn't push, and then your body was literally folding over this way. But how am I going to tell someone like, okay, you have to work on that for about a year and a half?
Yeah.
And I'm on the worst. That's why I say, if I can do it, brother, you can definitely do it because you're in a better spot than I was. You know.
Yeah.
But
I,
anyway,
I
that's
wish I wish we had us when I was on the come up, because I always I talked about it on a few podcasts, but it's like I had Arnold's Encyclopedia of Bodybuilding, so like that was it. I probably should have been outdoor sprinting. But I kind of want to shift the conversation, man, because um, I want to pile on. You're running this dual operation. You got the online stuff. You've got the in person, and I call this the trifecta of insanity. Right? You're married. You're a businessman, or meaning you're entrepreneurial in some way, or you control your income, and you got kids. Like those
and
three
I just got a
things.
puppy. We
What's
just got a
that?
puppy.
And you got a
We
puppy. We got a puppy too. What'd you get?
a black lab, 8 weeks
Ah,
old.
so,
I've never had a dog in my life, by the way. This is my
okay,
first dog.
okay,
But with me, I got to do it right. So I'm like going all in.
yep,
So that's taking time out of these other areas, right?
yeah,
So I don't know. Some people just thrive in that kind of chaos. Like we laugh about the way we were raised, but bro, it was me, it was me, my brother, my sister, my other sister. We grew up in Colombia. My uncle, my grandfather, my grandmother, and then my parents. 9 people to a two bedroom apartment to a 1 bedroom.
oh my God.
So, dude, it was nuts. But at the end of the day, dude, you just make it work. You just have to make it work. There's there's no excuses.
Mm-hmm.
You always look back and like, no, you're the one that chose to do this. Now, now you have to follow through. You can't just throw the towel in, right? That trifecta, I look at it as like, all right, we're creatures of stress. It's kind of
Mm-hmm.
like one of those things, like how much stress can I pile on? Obviously, you don't go too overboard,
Right.
but yeah, dude, I love it, man. I feel like the problem solving. I like the problem solving part of it
Mm-hmm.
uh, because literally every minute of the day you're on problem solving mode.
Right.
And so you have a dog, you have a business, you're a coach. I mean, do you have kids?
Oh yeah, we got a lot of kids. A
How
couple
many
are
kids do you
older
have?
though now, but we have our twins are 10 years old.
Oh, you have twins. I have twins too.
Yeah,
My twins are 6.
good age.
Bro, it's yeah. I mean, you just you just gotta make it work, man. I
Yeah,
need to be taking tips from you.
maybe. I don't know. I don't know. I mean, I guess the question I have for you, man, just for anybody, is like, how do you like? What are some daily or weekly habits you have that just keep you from burning out? Because I like you, I thrive in chaos to some degree.
Yeah, um, that's a good question. I have to, man, that's a good question. Burnout. I remember a while back when my brother and I, this was before kids, um, we were starting the business, obviously, and well, no, it was already kind of going, but it was just me and him. Dude, I was working literally Monday through Saturday, servicing sessions from like 6 to 7. That it was a tough time because I was miserable.
Hmm.
But you know what was good about it is it taught me when I get to that's when I need to back off.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, my daily things, my wife laughs at me because sometimes I go to bed at 11, wake up at 4, sometimes 10:30. And so we follow this path of like, oh, everything has to be optimal. But hey, look, at the end of the day, life happens. Um, I do find, yeah, I don't know, dude. That's a great question. The things that I do in the morning is obviously I get up and I do my devotional, but now with this puppy, there's no devotional. But I understand that I, you know, I have to cater my time to this creature that I'm trying to nurture and kind of mold her to how I want her to coexist with the rest of the family.
Yep.
There's no,
Puppies take so much time, man. Like they're ready to go
bro,
in the morning. It
bro,
this dog has ruined my morning routine. Like,
bro.
and
I'm
if I don't
telling
walk
you,
her, she's gonna start chewing shoes. That's how I know she needs energy. We have an old black lab. She's 14. She was my first dog ever. I didn't have dogs growing up, so I love this dog so much. But we got a new, the younger one is kind of
how
this
old?
German Shepherd mix. She's 5 months now. Ton of energy.
What?
I love the
Yeah,
dog, but to your point, yeah, I mean it's creating a level of chaos and interference in the schedule. But at the same time, I welcome it, right? Like I brought this
yeah,
on.
yeah.
So I totally get that.
My wife is like, what did she say? Like you turn into a robot, and it's like, yeah, it's like I have to task, 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 task,
Hmm.
task, task, task. But so that's kind of hard to turn off sometimes. But you know, it's like what she said. You just have to make her happy.
Yeah. I
Um,
will say in the spirit of Huberman, I'm getting more morning sunlight than ever before because instead of, getting up and working, I'm now going outside for walks. So I guess there are some positives to it.
yeah, there you go.
Anyway, I want to keep the conversation on training because I really like hearing you talk about cutting your teeth, putting in the work, getting the reps, working these 13-hour days. And even if you're not, if you're a coach, younger coach listening to this, you might be working the horrible split shift, right? So you're there before everybody goes to work, through the morning, maybe at lunch, and then you're again there in the evening once everyone gets off work. So we're essentially on every time people come off. And more these days, I think there's a lot of people who have expertise and knowledge, but not experience and not really a developed skill set coaching. So, having gone through that, what would you tell some of these younger coaches? What do you feel like are some of the benefits of just doing that for a short period of time in your life?
Yeah. Um, honestly, it starts with yourself. I feel like we don't follow this enough. Like you're saying, well, first you have to identify how you learn, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then you say, okay, well, honestly, I need to get better at this. How would I approach it? Because a lot of the things I see with most of the trainers that come in here and want to train is, okay, you're telling me so you're taking these people through this training block, but you haven't done it yourself. So that that literally gives me no hope in you to say that you know what they're actually feeling. So yeah, that's where kind of experimenting comes in. Like, dude, honestly, if you want to do something, let's just say you want to get stronger for some reason, or you want to help um, older folk move better. Okay, do you move well? If you don't move well, you got to get yourself to move better,
Right.
so then you can help out other people. I think that we kind of get stuck in that as coaches. Like, you don't do it enough yourself, and that doesn't give you. I mean, when I'm doing something and I've done it, bro, it gives me that freaking passion. Like, do you feel that? Because this is what I felt. We don't try stuff enough. Um, experience comes from that, and then you obviously get these people in a broad spectrum of challenging as a They got a challenging personality. You got those low key ones that are super. You just kind of go with the flow, and you're gonna have that. So you have to jump out there. But you first have to start doing stuff on your own too. You can't just come in here and, hey, I need you to do X, Y, Z, and then you've never done it at all. That doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah, need to just encourage everyone, just, get the reps in, get the
Which is hard
exposure.
though.
Yeah.
But I get it, dude. Because look, trust me, it's like as you have I'm sure you have a busy schedule. I have a busy schedule, but I've noticed that the moment I let that slip, my credibility, at least for myself within myself,
Hmm.
starts to diminish. Like you're not doing what you're trying to tell these people to do. What's going on here? Yeah, so I think that's one I really encourage people out there. And look, at the beginning, you're not gonna have all these comments. It's just what it is.
Yeah.
So you have to spend time learning about yourself, how you learn, what you feel. Again, something that we talked about with the athletes.
Yep.
That's going to make you a way better coach.
For sure. All right, Fabe. We've been going about an hour already. I can't believe this is like flown by. And I want to be respectful of your time. So
Ah,
I'm gonna hit
bro.
you with a few outro
Yep,
questions. And
for sure.
these can be long or short, whatever you want. But anyone who follows you knows that you are like the king of microdosing. So I'm always seeing,
Yeah, yeah,
couple handstand
yeah.
push-ups, like 3 jumps
Oh,
every day. I love it. So you've been
yeah.
microdosing a lot of this stuff. Um,
Yeah.
Tell me what's in your current microdose schedule, how long you've been
hmm
working on this, and you know what made you start and what benefits have you seen from it?
So the microdosing, I kind of stopped, and yeah, for a little bit. So what I noticed is, I'll take for example, I was doing 50, I was doing 50 handstand push-ups a day for about 60 days.
Okay.
That was one like that was my that was like my 4 a.m. training session, and then I would also work out like around 1.
Okay.
Um, what I did notice about that is I got better at doing handstand push-ups, but my wrists were starting to get pretty wrecked,
Hmm.
just because obviously structure of the wrist is not supposed to, at least. And you pile on not getting enough rest, probably,
Yeah.
and then adding a lot more stress throughout the day. Um, but I still kind of throw that in there every once in a while. I also did for the longest time, I did it for about almost 300 days. I would jump for 10 minutes. This was before you followed me. But there's something underlying about that it wasn't too intense because the 10 minutes, obviously, it can't be too max. The, the bouts can't be too heavy.
Right.
It kind of built like this conditioning in my lower extremities. Maybe I'm seeing like delayed response 2 years later.
Okay.
I like to look at it as like, those seasonal workers that
Mm-hmm.
like go hard for 4 or 5 months. Dude, they're like they get super strong and then they lay off for 4 months.
Yep.
And then they come back. It's like, dude, you got huge. So yeah, it was obviously that resting period, but I really hit it hard for 6 months. I did that. I did the 3 CMJs and 10 pogos a day.
Yep.
Uh, that one worked well. I did started seeing some diminishing returns on the CMJs. You kind of cap off after after you kind of coordinate it.
Mm-hmm.
So it takes about a month and a half. Kind of start to see some diminishing returns.
Okay.
The pogos, same thing. It wasn't There wasn't enough. Like it became more sub max, even though it was max. that because I wasn't recovering fully,
Hmm. Yeah.
it was like working at like instead of 100%, maybe 80%. But so right now I like to kind of jump into that. I do like a micro dose for like I call it seasonal microdosing, honestly, where I just go ham like until I'm wrecked.
Hmm.
That's that's such a bad thing to do, but then after that, you keep the skill, and you obviously your body recovers, and it just feels different. But yeah, the 50 handstand push-ups a day was nuts. But I was also cutting too, dude. So it was better in a sense, but I was taxed. Like the rest of my routines were suffering. I don't know what got me to 50. It was probably me. Like, oh, I did 20 now. Oh, let me do 50 now, you know? More, more, more.
Yeah, I'll be interested when you circle back to some of the stuff, just, with the retention of the neuromuscular aspects of just the
Yeah,
coordination, right? Like, how does it,
yeah,
what's the second go around like? But
yeah,
yeah, you'll have to let me know when you get to
yeah.
that spot and want to put that stuff back on the menu.
I'll jump that on probably at the beginning of next year.
Yeah, for sure.
But in those what I did notice is that was only my upper body stuff. Like
Mm,
I didn't do any kind of weightlifting for upper body. So where I'm offsetting now is I'm adding a lot more barbell work like bench press, overhead press. We got a lot of bent over rows. I'm doing a
hmm.
lot more bent elbow stuff, bicep curls, tricep extensions. So I am interested to see once I kind of go back to that at the beginning of next year and taper down on the strength training,
Hmm.
how that is going to differ from the beginning of last year.
Yeah, for sure. I'm super curious about it, so I'll probably kind of pick your brain
Yeah, yeah.
once you get
Come on,
into it a little
brother.
bit. All right, man. Well, what is next for Fabian? Like, what big projects are you working on? What are you excited about right
Uh,
now?
we're trying to really get this online thing, uh, the Athlete Accelerator program.
Yeah.
Um, but the thing with that is we actually have a sports psychologist, really, really, really solid. It kind of what a lot of these programs don't do is uh, give these athletes because the soccer's such a cultural thing. These kids are bred in like settings where, oh my gosh, you're great, you're the best, you're the best, you're the best, you're the best, you're the best.
Hmm.
And dude, once they get to a level where everybody's good, the psychological component just they literally crumble down.
Yep.
So we kind of came out with this thing that kind of helps. Which again, I wish I would have known about this. It gives them a lot of these athletes coping strategies, game time decisions, how your previous day will affect the way your performance is, all this stuff we know as coaches. But it's actual on the psychology part. There's modules to it. Uh, again, great sports psychology reference. John Couture is the guy we kind of partnered up with. He's worked at IMG Academy.
Mm.
But again, he's like what you said. He's the guy that's literally working with these athletes that has no social media presence. So it's kind of hard to use. We're kind of using my page to push that on.
Yep.
But yeah, we're that's honestly the big one here. Obviously here at the brick and mortar, uh, I'm wearing a different hat nowadays. It's like, at first you wear the hat of servicing sessions,
Hmm.
and then you have to wear a different hat of like teaching people how to service sessions, which
Yep.
is a completely different game,
Yeah.
which I'm sure I gotta take some pointers from you because that was the biggest one for me, dude. Um, and so yeah, that's the biggest one here. Kind of growing this the gym here. And yeah, I mean, honestly, that's it, man. Obviously, family, continue to do what we're doing at the house, get this puppy situated.
Yeah.
I know it's gonna be,
Well, I will make sure that we get a link to the Athlete Accelerator so that if people are interested, they can follow your work, they can find
yeah,
that.
bro.
Where else? I mean, I know you've got multiple Instagram things going on, but what's the best place to connect with you, learn more about your methods, your work online?
Um, Online, that's a great question. I would say, yeah, just shoot me a DM on Instagram. Honestly, with the Instagram, I'm pretty open to like, yeah, I'm open to having conversations about. There's no, I don't hide anything. Bro, you just ask me, here it is. This is what I think. It might work for you, it might not.
Mm-hmm.
Just shoot me a message. I'll be there.
Okay. Well, man, I appreciate your time. Thank you so much. I'll make sure we get a link to your Instagram page. We'll put Fit Factor in there too, so that people can find that if they're in the Houston area. Anybody who takes the time can carve this into their schedule. I super appreciate it. So I'm humbled and honored to have you on, man. This was a
No,
great time.
nah, dude. I appreciate you, man, for reaching out. All right, brother.
If you enjoyed this episode, please remember to rate and review us with 5 stars only. Then subscribe so you can get all the latest updates.